much like that. You're so cool.
I knew you was gonna say that. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. This is Brian Leggett and Tara Leggett, and we are Out of the Blue.
Ooh, quit talking like that, please.
I'm trying to get the intro. And I'm Brian Leggett, this is Tara Leggett, and this is Out of the Blue. Is that better?
I don't like that. We'll have to work on it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're late for our Marriage Monday talk.
It is Wednesday.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. He got us hooked on this show called Jane the Virgin. We've been binge watching on Netflix for a week. I'm like, can't wait to get off here and watch more. We're in season 2. There's 5 seasons. This is the 5th season.
Yes. In real life, the series finale is next week.
I think it's in July.
Oh.
June or July. But I mean,
It's coming up.
it's coming up. So
Anyway,
we
so
gotta catch up.
To catch up on our life, to recap, last week what we talked about? We talked about, are you marriage material?
Marriage return, because it was our anniversary.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? This week we are talking about ideologies of rearing, child rearing, or parenting.
Parenting.
So they call it. I don't like to call it parenting because I feel like I'm in here just winging it. Most of the times, my number one goal is to stay calm and make the best decision possible with the opportunities that I have. Right? Right? You said, look at this one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Why you got it way over there?
You
Anyway.
want me to move it?
No, it's okay.
I don't want to move it because now you're being weird. Does that make it?
Yeah, there you go. Put it underneath it or something.
I feel like we're going to knock this whole thing over.
Anyway.
Okay.
Parenting.
So the reason we're talking about this is because the other day I was talking to Brian and I was like, you know,
Speak up. They can hear you.
oh, okay. The other day I was talking to Brian and I was thinking, you know what's so crazy? We had a dog before we had LB when we were living in Morgantown. I got in this kick. I had to have a dog. I found one. We rescued it.
Oh, God.
And when I brought the dog home, the first thing I did was get online and read all kinds of stuff about dog training, like how to get them housebroken, how to get them crate trained, how to get them to walk on a leash the right way, like all this Googling, right, for a dog. But we had LB, and we came home, and I feel like we just been kind of winging it. Don't even get me started when we got married. Like, I was so bad at parenting that my stepdaughter thought I was her friend. She thought I was 6 years old, and we just hung out.
She
sometimes.
still, for the record, before she went home last time, she said, Brian, how old is
I
Tara?
hope she didn't call you Brian.
Well, she said that. How old is Tara? And I was like, she's 20. You were 28 at the time. I was like, she's 28. She's like, oh, I thought she was 24. I was like, man.
That's because of my youthful
Do you think I'm like robbing the cradle like that?
You did rob the cradle.
Jeez.
But yeah, so like I just feel like, and I feel like that's pretty common, right? Like you watch the video that they make you watch when you give birth, which we never even had to watch at either one of our experiences. Because when we had Vivian, so our second kid, they're like, yeah, you know what you're doing. And I don't know, you get a pamphlet that says don't shake your baby, and they just send you home. And I feel like when it's time to deal, like when we get our first experiences with having to discipline a kid, we're just like, we just take a poll, right? We just ask people like, hey, your kid ever did this? What'd you do?
Yeah.
Or we call our parents and ask them because they raised us. But I just feel like anything else we're going to do in life, the first thing we do is hit Google and read a couple articles. But with parenting, we do not do that. So it's just curious to me, like, why don't we study parenting? Why don't we read up on parenting? Even when we were about to get married, right? We did that premarital counseling thing, and I read books. You didn't read
Uncle
books,
Richie, shout out to Uncle Richie.
Yeah, my uncle did our premarital counseling. But that's better than none at all. Awkward as that might have been. But yeah, it's just so strange to me that people don't really seek any, I guess, professional input for child rearing.
Yeah. All right, so are we past the highs and buys yet?
I mean,
like, are we ready to get deeper into this?
Yeah. You can
all right, so here's my thing. I was talking to our neighbor yesterday, day before yesterday, one of these days, and I told him that I had to spank LB. And so he was like, all right, never mind. So he was...
We're culturally different.
Yes. So he was saying how he doesn't spank his son and his wife doesn't allow it. but he's getting to the point where he's getting a lot more frustrated with the discipline problems. And so he's trying to, quote unquote, put his foot down more. And so I'm like, okay, I get that. And I told him, I was like, all right, here's why we don't like spanking our kids. And most black people will not say this, but we don't like spanking our kids because we were having a discussion one day about how that's pretty much, it's just been passed down from generation to generation, and it roots from slavery. Because whenever, I know, right?
Yeah, he got real deep real fast.
I know. Well,
We're
not surface. Let me
I don't like
finish
spanking LB because I only feel the urge to spank him or to use physical discipline when I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
It's never like you send your kid to the corner, you put them in timeout. It's because you know what they did wrong. You want them to change this behavior. You explain it to them. You do it. Anytime I'm ready to spank him, I'm so frustrated that I'm not in a good parenting space. So that is why I don't like to spank.
But see, I don't really ever get that frustrated. Like for me, it's just like, I tell you what to do. I set the boundaries. You pass that boundary, there are repercussions that are going to be had. That repercussion might be you get sent to timeout. That repercussion might be you getting smacked. So you got to know there's a boundary. You cross it, you in my world. Right?
See, that's never my first line of defense, or I'd be whooping because I'm with them all day. I'm not just here a couple hours. So.
And I'm not saying this to say like I whoop him constantly. I've only given him 3, 4 whoopings in his whole life. The kid's 4 years old, right? And so I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I really do be trying to talk through stuff with him. And because I know that he's his mama's child, and he's going to talk with a proper pronunciation and enunciation of every single thing that's in his head.
I feel like it's important for my child to explain how he feels.
Yeah.
So he does.
Yeah. So even when he falls off his bike and he's, oh, but that hurt my feelings. And I'm like, get up, boy. Anyway, side note. So the reason why I was saying that is because we were at a party last weekend, and one of the first questions asked was, y'all spank y'all kids? I was like, we at a black party now.
They were like, people don't even be spanking their kids no more. Y'all spank y'all's kids.
I was like, when they need it. But I mean, for real though, that, if you think about it, most people spank their kids because they were spanked. And then it does stem from a bad place. And in order for us to get away from it or to break the mold, we have to find a new way to discipline our kids. Taking stuff away from them, I feel like it just now that works for LB, because now he finally cares enough about stuff where taking it away from him hurts him. But before,
well, I feel like we don't. That's why I wonder why we don't study it. I don't even have an understanding from a developmental standpoint at what point any type of discipline works on a kid. I mean, you don't discipline a baby, but when do you start? Just when they start walking? That's different ages for all kids. When do they have enough understanding to understand actions and reactions? Is that 10 months old, 18 months old? When is that? And so I guess that's why I have a problem with it. And I'll tell you, I was spanked when I was growing up, but was I spanked at 4? I don't think so. Not that I remember. I only got a couple whoopings in my life. Now, when I was a teenager, I got popped in the mouth all the time because I don't act right. And I know I don't act right. But when I was a smaller kid, I don't know if, and I guess that's something I had to talk to my mom about. If maybe it didn't work, so she did other things, or but I didn't get whooped every time I did something crazy.
So for me, I was a perfect child, so I never got whooped.
And you were a boy, and boys, I feel like
no. So this is what my dad would do. First off,
now look, it's okay. We don't need to go through the whole thing.
No, it's cool. First off, my mom would be like, "Wait till your dad get home," and then me and my brother would be like, "Oh God, now we gotta wait until he gets home." And then he would come in, and some days he'd just be like, y'all know I gotta do this. He didn't ever say it, but he had that look on his face now why you done messed up? Now you done made me do all this. I just got home from work. Now I understand what that look meant. Then I had no clue. I just saw that belt, right? But anyway, so I think that did help keep me in check, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if it's the number of weapons or just like I knew in my heart that if I pushed her there, my mom would strike me. Like I knew that, so I did not push her there.
That's what I mean. That's those boundaries. LB needs to know you crossed that boundary. You in my world.
But I feel like a lot of times that doesn't like solve the root of the behavior for him. I feel like LB has a better reaction when we can talk it out than when I get frustrated to the point of wanting to whoop him. So that's why I have a hard time with it, because I feel like it doesn't work and it makes me feel bad and it makes him cry and we're not getting anywhere. For me and for my relationship with LB, we don't get anywhere with that.
Yeah. For me, it gets frustrating to sit there and continue to explain. I used to say, I swear I would never tell my kids because I said so, until I've told you. And like I try to preface all the information in the beginning, and then you don't listen, and then I say, hey, I said do this, and you be like, but why? And then I'm like, because I just told you why.
Exactly. It's a frustration, so that's why I feel like I have a problem with it, because it's all out of frustration instead of out of good parenting.
So that's, again, back to the beginning.
For me, not for everybody.
To recap, if you jumped in later, my number one parenting goal is to stay calm. My number two is to make the best decision with the opportunities that I have at that moment.
And I feel that when we kind of like, okay, during the day, I'm playing zone defense. But when I'm playing man-to-man defense, when I hear you getting frustrated, you hear me being frustrated, just switching positions, a lot of times I feel like gets us a better result, less tears, the point gets across, what we need done gets done. Because they're not on your last nerve anymore.
True.
So
true.
that I don't have a problem with how people discipline their kids. I feel like every kid is different. As long as you are not, abusing your child, fine. But I don't feel like it gets the results. So that's why I feel the way that I feel about it.
That's real. All right, so next time. All right, so that's discipline, right? I didn't mean to start with discipline. I guess we could have started.
You go straight in.
That is on my mind. All right, so the next one is just like expectations of your children. Like all right, so for me, I have to constantly remind myself that I didn't get deep into athletics until the 7th grade. Like Little League, I hated football. I hated t-ball. I sucked at both. I was in the band, right?
Don't laugh at the band.
Like, all right.
First chair clarinet in the 8th
trombone.
grade. First chair clarinet in the 8th grade.
Kenny P used to pick on me. But then, all of a sudden, I hit a growth spurt, and I hit the 7th grade, and I went out for football, and I was on like the 8th and the 9th grade team, and I was like beating up on my brother's friends, and I was like, y'all suck. Anyway, so like now he's 4. He's a bigger kid. He's the same size as a lot of the 5 and 6 year olds in the neighborhood, but he's like a daisy picker. Like he doesn't like the roughhouse. He calls them ball sports. He says, "No, Dad, we don't want to play any ball sports." And I'm like, boy, if you don't pick up this ball, right? All right. So the reason I said that is because. Again, last weekend, same party, they brought, one of the other couples brought their son, and he's 4 as well. And this kid, like, eats, sleeps, and breathes athletics. And, like, he walked in and started doing sprints and box jumps. And he got down. He's like, you want to see me do some push-ups? He was doing push-ups. We're eating. And he's like, chicken is good for you. That's why chicken's my favorite. And I'm like, who is this kid? Why is this not my kid? Like, this is supposed to be my kid. But again, I have to remind myself.
Brian has always wanted to have an athlete for a kid. When we got married and I came into having a relationship with Alayla, she's a taller, bigger girl, right? So he's like, oh yeah, she can play volleyball, she can play basketball, blah, blah, blah.
She needs to be
I have been breaking it to him for nearly 10 years. That girl is never going to play a sport like that. Like, she doesn't want to. She's a wonderful artist. Jeez. But so I don't know. I feel like that's something about kids too. Because if like I want to get on you, but I would never, because if my kids are not like straight A students, I'll be sad. I am gonna be sad. Like that's my athletics. Like if my kid comes home like, man, I hate math, I ain't no good at it, I'll be like, what?
Right. Well, math. Yeah.
Why isn't that my kid over there? Why isn't my kid a mathlete? I'm smart, you know.
That's right.
So it is, and it's not even just expectations with that. Like when Obi was a kid, like a baby, just like with Vivian now, like I was so up to date on the milestones. I was like today, like Vivian's in her third Wonder Week leap. It's her third mental leap. It's the smooth transitions, and oh, you're sweet. It's smooth transitions, and she's looking at these patterns and looking at that. But at a certain point, you get so wrapped up in trying to keep them from tearing up your house, like around 2, that you quit doing all that. So I do have a hard time keeping up with like what he should be doing. And I think a lot of moms do, because we're just going around keeping them alive and happy. And then you see like a 3-year-old who like
is doing box jumps. Dude, this kid was doing box jumps.
Not doing box jumps. That's not like a 3-year-old that is like spelling and reading. And you're like, dude, have I dropped the ball? Is my kid going to be so far behind? Like,
all right, so here's why I really push it. It's because he notices he's not as good. He's not as athletic as other kids. And so when we do get to like the whole neighborhoods together and everybody's like out playing and running and stuff, he's the slow kid hanging out in the back. And I'm like, no, like I know what that's gonna do to your self-esteem.
But he's also the youngest.
And
other than the little girls, he's the youngest.
But it's my responsibility to at least put him in a position to where if he decides he wants to keep up, he can. But if he is not even able to keep up, then that's my fault.
LB works out every day. They seen the video.
Man,
but let me tell you what he does. He gets about 5 minutes in. He says, "Whoo, Mom! Wow, that's over. Thanks. That was great. The video's done." I'm like, "We got 20 whole minutes left." But he's just not that interested. But when I do have him around kids that are his age and younger, like with our friends in the neighborhood, their kids are either 4 or younger. I feel like he's more active and more like, let's race. Let's play tag. Mm-hmm. But I do think it's discouraging for him when he's out there and when he looks around, those kids are just like him. But I mean, he doesn't realize that they're 6 and 7. You know, across the street, the little boy's 7 years old.
But that's just like, all right, so for me, my saving grace when I was growing up was I was a fat kid, but I could keep up. So like, I was the last one, but I was right there. I was pulling up the everybody's jumping fences. I'm running around it. I'm gonna be there. So yes, like, all right, in our neighborhood, my brother was 2 years older than me. Everybody was older than me with the exception of one guy, and he was like 6 months younger than me. So we weren't that far behind. What?
Nothing.
Do what?
Nothing.
I was the most athletic kid on the block. Let me tell you.
I'm not saying. I mean, to you, I feel like athletics had such a big impact on your life because it did get you, to college for free. It got you through it for a full ride. That's not a lot of people's experience. A lot of people that you were on the team with did not have that same, and it wasn't that big of an impact in their life. So for you, it's this big thing you really want your kids to achieve because it propelled you forward so much to where it is like your whole career.
Well,
but most people, it ain't that serious.
All right, think about all the people that, and I don't want to speculate. I'm speaking from personal experience. I remember times where I was no good at something that we were playing, and it did hurt my self-esteem. And I think that's what made me start to like push harder.
I think you just got to be good at something. You just have to be good at something. It doesn't have to be sports. It just has to be something. Yeah. So that is why I've never been worried about Layla, because she's very talented in other things and she doesn't want to,
Yeah, that's real.
But LB, we just got to find what it is. Maybe it will be athletics.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what level a 4-year-old is even supposed to be on in that stuff. You're supposed to know that. Like, what is is he below average or he's below the kid that's doing push-ups for fun? That's what I need to know. And maybe that's what I should Google, but I haven't Googled anything about parenting and I don't know why.
Did you get that mom's number? We need to have her come over because
I did not get her
number. I
number,
want my son to hang out with her son.
Okay.
Like, this kid was stating facts. Anyway, all right, I put 2 out there on the table. Your turn.
Oh, I don't have it. I don't know.
Nothing? Oh, I can give you a third.
Okay, give me a third. Tell me in my ear before you get crazy.
No. All right, so we covered discipline, we covered expectations. All right. I had it. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. So, all right, talk about something. I got to think about it. I just lost it. I should have wrote it down.
I don't know. I just need to, I guess for me, I really have to figure out, like, I feel like all the moms I know, including myself, we just look at how we were raised and we might tweak a couple of things and we just roll with it. Like, yeah. But there's not a whole lot of basis other than like, well, we tried it this way. Like, I tried it like my mom did and it didn't work, so I changed it a little bit to see if it would work because, you know, my kids are a little different than I was, and it's also 25 years later. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I just really wonder, like, what it is about us culturally that we seek an expert opinion on everything but parenting.
Yeah. I think some people, I think the biggest problem is we don't seek advice until it's too late. Mm-hmm. Until there's red flags, until there's problems, right? Like, there's no preface. And I told you this before, like, they really just be giving people babies and be like, see you later. You got the car seat? You good?
Yeah.
All right, see y'all later. And, like, you don't come home with no manual, no pamphlet.
They give you a pamphlet just on eating. Like, they just need you to keep that kid alive.
Right.
That's
like,
it.
Child rearing in itself, like, they give you no instructions on how to do it. And then they be like, look at the Bible. And I'd be like, don't get me wrong. Proverbs is dope as can be, right? And he will definitely read Proverbs from cover to cover. However,
but when? How do you know when that's developmentally appropriate?
That's a good question. Maybe we should start reading that to him at nighttime.
At 4?
Yes, never too early.
Well, he'll fall asleep very well.
Yeah, Proverbs is lit.
For an adult.
So that's a good question. All right, so.
In my ear first.
No. A lot of, just like we were talking about with the athletics, a lot of me, I would like to imprint onto him. Mm-hmm. Like my goal and her and them.
But especially him.
Yes. I got one shot. I got to get this right.
He is really the only person to carry on the name, right?
I got to get this right.
He's the only baby boy Leggett right now.
He's the only baby Leggett. So, with imprinting yourself onto them, how do you decide what to put on? Like, how do you cherry pick what you want to actually carry on to them?
I think we look at it the wrong way. I think we should look at it as just sharing our life, our experiences, and things we've been through, and then they take that and they progress with their life. I feel like if we think of it as like imprinting or like molding, then that's how you set yourself up to get hurt when they choose a different path, even if it is an okay path, like not even just a bad path. I mean, I don't want to be disappointed if LV decides to become something other than what I've dreamed for him, as long as he's happy and healthy and not trying to get money from me as an adult and out of my house. Like,
Yeah.
You know, so that's the hard thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know how to do that. I mean, I have plenty of time, but I'm not going to know how to let go.
All right, so that's a great what do you call it when it goes into the next topic, whatever. Segue. That's a great segue to my next question. So, when I was probably 16, my dad came to the room, and I don't even remember what I was doing. I just remember this for some reason. So he comes into the room, and he was like, "You been thinking about what you're gonna do after school?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm probably gonna go to college somewhere." And he was like, "Okay, going on scholarship?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay, well, you do know this. When you turn 18, you got 3 choices. You gonna go to school, you gonna get a job, you gonna go to the military. Either way, you getting out my house." I was like, I'm sitting there as a 16-year-old like, okay. like in the back of my mind, I'm sitting there like, dude, I got like 4 ride offers. Like, what are you talking about? But I mean, it's just like, that was something that I remember is like him telling me, you got 3 options and you got 2 years to figure it out, right? At what point are you going to have that conversation, or are you going to let me have that conversation with our kids?
I don't know. I mean, things were so much different for me. Like, I mean, probably to my dad's dismay, but when I was getting ready to graduate college, my mom was like, you know, you can come back home. And I was like, definitely not going to do that, you know? But like the door was always open. And I think because it was open, I was like, yeah, I ain't going to do that though. But like, cool. But so I don't know. I don't know about stuff like that. I guess it would depend on each individual kid. If we got one that really is comfortable here, we're going to have to make sure they know. Like,
comfortable in my house?
Yeah, you got to get
Watch
out. Like, because me and your dad, we decided that we were done, so y'all could get out, and we could travel and live our life.
Look, I've already got the 18-year clock started. I got 17 years. What is it, like 9 months?
Well, you got to let them finish the whole school year, so.
She was born in March. She'll be a year early. She'll be good. She'll be out of here. She's going to be smart, too. She's got it. That's going to be the one. She's the goat.
Can they all be the one? Can they all be good?
Nah, she the goat.
You want to pick a favorite so bad.
She the goat. I'm just saying. I'm stating facts over here.
How you going to say she's the goat?
She is.
Your oldest taught you that term at all.
From the moment that she was like first in your belly, she was moving. And I was like, that's my baby right there. Always making moves.
She has my attitude.
Anyway.
You're going to try and get her to play sports, and she's going to be like, Dad, I looked up the salaries of the WNBA, and this is not going to work for me. I'm going to put my eggs in the academics basket.
Watch. You about to be a soccer mom, tennis mom, golf mom. She going to be on it. Mm-hmm. She going to be the GOAT.
Okay. Anyway, now that we've gone through that.
All right.
But I mean, the question still stands, and I asked it a lot in here, and I asked myself that even now, why don't we study parenting like we study everything else? Because if I told you to go in there and make peach cobbler, the first thing you do would be whip out your phone.
Yeah.
That somebody's like, hey, raise a well-adjusted adult, and we're like, oh, cool, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it is scary to think, like, we are raising the next generation. The people that are going to take over this world, we're raising them. So we are imprinting some crazy things on them.
We're all just doing the best we can.
Amen, sister.
Maybe I'll hit Google tomorrow, see what I can come up with.
Yeah.
At least Pinterest.
Right?
All right, guys, if you're watching on Facebook, please follow us on YouTube. I will post our link in the comments after we're done. And we'll see you guys next week on Out of the Blue.
Hopefully, actually, on Monday.
Mm-hmm. On Monday, Brian was too busy eating the cheesecakes we got for us on Saturday at the farmer's market.
No, not at all.
Yes.
I was not.
Yes.
I was not.
We bought 2 cheesecake slices at the farmer's market on Saturday. And when I went to get them yesterday, he told me he'd been ate that.
I did.
He didn't even tell me.
Nope.
It's almost like the time you didn't bring me ice cream when I was pregnant.
Oh, because you told me you didn't want to poop yourself.
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right. Anyway, I had a really good question. I forgot it. I'll have to post it via text or something. Or is that called posting?
All right, guys. We're going to go watch Jane the Virgin now.
Peace, love, happiness.